Hello 5Z, Mr. Zattel here. I just wanted to share with you one of my favorite books. So I'd like you to read it with me. This is called The Lorax, and it's by Dr. Seuss. So, at the far end of town where the grinkle grass grows, and the wind smells slow and sour when it blows, and no birds ever sing excepting old crows, is the street of the lifted Lorax. And deep in the grinkle grass, some people say, if you look deep enough, you can still see today where the Lorax once stood just as long as it could before somebody lifted the Lorax away. What was the Lorax, and why was it there? And why was it lifted and taken somewhere? From the far end of town where the grinkle grass grows, the old Onceler still lives. Ask him. He knows. You won't see the Onceler, don't knock at his door. He stays in his lurkum at the top of his store. He lurks in his lurkum, cold under the roof, where he makes his own clothes out of mufflered moof. And on special dank midnights in August, he peeks out of the shutters, and sometimes he speaks and tells how the Lorax was lifted away. He'll tell you, perhaps, if you're willing to pay. On the end of a rope, he lets down a tin pail if you have to toss in 15 pence and a nail and the shell of a great-great-great-grandfather snail. Then he pulls up the pail and makes most careful count to see if you've paid him the proper amount, and when he hides what you've paid him away in his snub, a secret strange hole in his grovelous glove, then he grunts, I will call you by whisper-ma-phone, for the secrets I tell you are for your ears alone. There we go. Slup down, slups the whisper-ma-phone to your ear, and the old Onceler's whispers not very clear, since they have to come down through a sniggly hose. It sounds as if he had smallish bees up his nose. Now I'll tell you, he says with his teeth sounding gray, how the Lorax got lifted and taken away. It all started way back, such a long, long time back. There we go. Way back in the days when the grass was still green, and the pond was still wet, and the clouds were still clean, the song of the swami swans rang out in space. One morning I came to this glorious place, and I first saw the trees, the truffula trees, the bright-colored tufts of the truffula trees, after mile, in the fresh morning breeze. And under the trees saw the brown barbaloots frisking about in their barbaloot suits as they played there in the shade and ate truffula fruits. From the rippleless pond came comfortable sound of humming fish humming while splashing around. But those trees, those truffula trees, all my life I've been searching for trees such as these. The touch of their tufts was softer than silk, and they had the sweet smell of fresh butterfly milk. I felt a great leaping of joy in my heart. I knew just what I'd do. I'd unload my cart. And in no time at all, I'd built a small shop, then chopped down a truffula tree with one chop. And with great skillful skill and with great speedy speed, I took the soft tuft and knitted a thneed. The instant I'd finished, I heard a gazump. I looked and saw something pop out of the stump of the tree I'd chopped down. It was sort of a man. Describe him? That's hard. I don't know if I can. He was shortish and oldish and brownish and mossy. He spoke with a voice that was sharpish and bossy. Mister, he said with sawdusty sneeze, I am the Lorax and I speak for the trees. I speak for the trees have no tongues, and I'm asking you, sir, at the top of my lungs. I was very upset, and he shouted and puffed, what is that thing you've made out of my truffula tuft? Look, Lorax, I said, there's no cause for alarm. I chopped just one tree. I'm doing no harm. I'm being quite useful. The thing is a thneed. A thneed is a fine something that all people need. It's a shirt, it's a sock, it's a glove, it's a hat. But it has other uses. And yes, far beyond that, you can use it for carpets, for pillows, for sheets, or curtains, or covers, for bicycle seats. The Lorax said, "Sir, you are crazy with greed. There is no one on earth who would buy that fool Sneed." But that very next minute, I proved he was wrong, for just at that minute, a chap came along, and he thought that the Sneed I had knitted was great. He happily bought it for $3.98. I laughed at the Lorax. "You poor stupid guy. You never can tell what some people will buy." "I repeat," cried the Lorax, "I speak for the trees." "I'm busy," I told him. "Shut up, if you please." I rushed across the room, and in no time at all, I built a radiophone. I put in a quick call. I called all my brothers and uncles and aunts, and I said, "Listen here. There's a wonderful chance for the whole Oncer family to get mighty rich. Get over here fast. Take the road to North Nitch. Turn left at Wee Hawkins. Sharp right at Staff Stitch." And in no time at all, in a factory I built, the whole Oncer family was working full tilt. We were all knitting Sneeds, just as busy as bees, to the sound of the chopping of truffula trees. Then, oh baby, oh, how business did grow. Now the chopping one tree at a time was too slow, so I quickly invented a super axe hacker, in which whacked off 4 truffula trees in one smacker. We were making Sneeds 4 times as fast as before, and that Lorax, he didn't show up anymore. But next week, he knocked on my new office door. He snapped, "I'm the Lorax who speaks for the trees, which you seem to be chopping as fast as you please. But I'm also in charge of the brown barbaloots, who played in the shade of in their barbaloot suits and happily lived eating truffula fruits. Now, thanks to your hacking of my trees to the ground, there's not enough truffula fruit to go around, and my poor barbaloots are getting the crummies because they have gas and no food in their tummies. They loved living here, but I can't let them stay. They'll have to find food, and I hope that they may. Good luck, boys," he cried, and he sent them away. I, the Oncer, felt sad as I watched them go, but business is business, and business must grow regardless of crummies and tummies, you know. I meant no harm, I most truly did not, but I had to grow bigger, so bigger I got. I biggered my factory, I biggered my roads, I biggered my wagons, I biggered my loads of Sneeds I shipped out. I shipped them from forth to south, from to the east, to the west, and to the north. I went right on biggering, selling more Sneeds, and I biggered my money, which everyone needs. And again he came back. I was fixing some pipes when the old nuisance Lorax came back with more gripes. "I am the Lorax," he coughed and he whiffed. He sneezed and he snuffed and he snuggled and sniffed. "Onceler," he cried with a cornuflous croak. "Onceler, you're making such smogulous smoke. My poor swami swans, why, they can't sing a note. No one can sing, no one who has smog in their throat." Look at all this smog in the air. "And so," said the Lorax, "please pardon my cough. They cannot live here, so I'm sending them off. Where will they go? I don't hopefully know. They may have to fly for a month or a year to escape the smog that you've smogged up here." "What's more," snapped the Lorax, his dander was up, "let me say a few words about Gluppity Glup. Your machinery chugs on day and night without stop. Make Gluppity Glup. So, Schluppity Schlup. Also, Schluppity Schlup. And what do you do with this leftover goo? I'll show you, you dirty old Onceler man, you. You're glupping the pond where the humming fish hum. No more can they hum, for their gills are all gum, so I'm sending them off. Oh, their future is dreary. They'll walk on their fins to get woefully weary, in search of some water that isn't too smeary. I hear things are just as bad up at Lake Erie." And then I got mad. I got terribly mad. I yelled at the Lorax, "Now you listen here, Dad. All you do is yap, yap, and say, bad, 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 bad. Well, I have my rights too, sir, and I'm telling you, I intend to go on doing just what I do. And for your information, you Lorax, I'm figuring on biggering. And biggering, and biggering, and biggering, turning more truffula trees into Sneeds, which everyone needs. And that very moment we heard a loud whack. From outside in the fields came a sickening smack of the axe on a tree. Then we heard the tree fall, the very last truffula tree of them all. No more trees, no more thnees, no more work to be done. In no time, my uncles, my aunts, everyone, they waved me goodbye and they jumped into my cars. They drove away under the smoke-smuggered stars. And now all that was left beneath the bad-smelling sky was the big empty factory, the Lorax, and I. The Lorax said nothing, he just gave me a glance. He just gave me a very sad, backward glance as he lifted himself by the seat of his pants. And I'll never forget the grim look on his face when he hoisted himself and took leave of this place through the hole in the smog without leaving a trace. There it goes. And all that Lorax left here in this mess was a small pile of rocks with the word, unless. Whatever that meant, well, I couldn't guess. That was long, long ago, but each day since that day, I've sat and worried away. Through the years, while my buildings have fallen apart, I've worried about it with all of my heart. But now, says the one, so now you're here. And the word of the Lorax seems perfectly clear, unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot. Nothing is going to get better. It's not. So, catch, calls the onceler. He lets something fall. It's a truffula seed, the last one of all. You're in charge of the last truffula seeds. And the truffula trees are what everyone needs. Plant a new truffula. Treat it with care. Give it clean water and feed it fresh air. Grow a forest, protect it from axes that hack. Then the Lorax and all of his friends might come back. And that's the end. I hope you enjoyed my story, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in September, if not before. Bye.